I think you can make an argument, to be honest with you, maybe 1 through 8, and have 7 to 8 teams that you could have a legitimate case to be number 1. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Crain & Company. Make sure if you're not subscribed, you know what to do. Go ahead and do it. Today is Monday. We know what that means. It's Power Rankings Day.
Power!
As we enter Week 4, starting to get a lot of good info about some of these teams. There's going to be some movements and some shifts in today's Power Rankings. Again, the way we look at it, we all say what we think. There's some arguments, there's some disagreements in here, but we have to come up with one consolidated list that's accumulated now for 3 weeks.
Seeing the AP poll rankings makes me want to throw up.
Yeah, no, we're going to get to that for sure. David Cohn, former Michigan quarterback to my left. Blaine Crain, former Western State, Colorado wide receiver to my right. Guys, another fantastic weekend of college football. Got another big one this weekend. Had our full recap. Make sure you check that out. Already got an Auburn-Oklahoma preview out and got a Michigan-Nebraska preview out in a really, really big game in the Big Ten for 2 teams that think they're going to have a chance. But will either one of those be in the top 15? We shall see. Let's kick it off with number 15 here, making their debut.
Yeah.
In the best ranking, the Crain & Company Power Ranking Top 15, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets and Brent Key. How about Brent Key and the Yellow Jackets? Clemson, get your ass out of here.
Bunch of engineers out here just kicking ass.
Haynes King. David, as somebody that played quarterback at a very high level, Haynes King, I don't know if he's going to be able to walk by the time he's 40, but oh boy, every single week, right when you think he's going to end up breaking like Mr. Potato Head, they just keep running him. Keep running him, and it keeps working. They can dance with it all night long, apparently. We'll see.
In a day and age where I think the sport is softening year by year and guys are getting kicked out of games for targeting, this kid continues to impress me with the physicality that he plays the position with. And let's don't forget, transferred out from Texas A&M. Yeah. Gets a second chance at Georgia Tech, and he's proven it game after game, year after year, that he is a hard-nosed football player. Good to see Georgia Tech, but here's my only thing, boys. Too low. Too low. You just beat Clemson at home. Forget 15. I got him at number 9 in my personal ranking.
You got him in the top 10.
Top 10.
Really?
I just personally believe in the first few weeks of the season, there should be a ton of fluctuation in the rankings. If there's not a lot of fluctuation, like I know we're going to get to the AP poll, it really just means you're kind of holding on to some of your preseason notions, right? We're getting so many new data points week by week by week. A lot of fluctuation in my personal rankings, a lot of fluctuation in our collective rankings here. But I got Georgia Tech at 9.
And right now,
I can understand that argument.
Georgia Tech's beaten Colorado, Gardner-Webb, and Clemson.
Okay, so
the Colorado win was on the road.
The Colorado win was on the road. We'll see. I know Colorado went and lost at Houston.
And it's deserved. It makes me think, what's a better fit? What's a better fit? Diego Pavia at Vandy or Haynes King at Georgia?
Yes. The answer is yes.
I think with Georgia Tech, we watched them have a good year last year.
Yeah.
They were already kind of proven in our eyes somewhat. It's just you had to show us again, and they did the opposite of Clemson. I know everybody this week will be talking about how bad Clemson is compared to what everybody thought. I want to make sure that doesn't take away from Georgia Tech and what Brent Key's doing. They're just a damn good football team. Just a good football team. Old school, old-fashioned, damn good football team. Going to be interesting because if you look at their schedule, guys, I mean, see the odds of them being in the ACC championship game. I don't know what it is now, but now that you got by Clemson, Georgia Tech's got to be. Can we go through the rest of their schedule?
You got Temple at home.
Win.
At Wake Forest.
Win.
Virginia Tech at home.
Win.
At Duke.
I think win.
You would say win, but that just seems like
that's
a scary game, right? Syracuse at home. Winnable. At NC State. At Boston College. Pitt at home. And then obviously you got Georgia.
I mean, no Miami. No Florida State.
Buster Faulkner, man, the job he's doing. And if you run old boy Aiden Burr out there, he's going to make a game-winning field goal. Did it against Florida State a year ago. Wasn't that the Dublin game?
Fire drill.
55-yarder fire drill this week. Longest walk-off field goal in Georgia Tech history.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, Blaine, you brought up Vandy and Diego Pavia after they just whipped South Carolina's ass, pistol whipped them. After Lenora Sellers went out, too, it was already over. But Vandy's just good. Making their debut, the Vanderbilt Commodores and Clark Lee. It wasn't a fluke. It wasn't a fluke. They may be a top 10 team. In fact, Coney, I think you had them. Is this the same as Georgia Tech? Do you think they should be higher?
Too low at 14, disrespectful. I have them all the way up at 13.
Okay. Okay, all right. So that's closer. So how good is Vanderbilt?
But seriously, who wants to play them?
I don't.
Like right
who
now,
wants to play them?
Right now, like from a serious standpoint, like what team could you, even in the SEC, what team could you be like, I am uber confident on them beating Vanderbilt.
Yeah. I think Vandy,
Not Georgia.
I think Vandy could beat anything.
Not Tennessee,
in the SEC,
not LSU, not
I never thought I'd say that.
And I just want to reiterate, because I know there's people out there who watch every show. I'm the person who said in the offseason, sell the Vanderbilt stock now while it's at its highest. It's not going to get any higher, and I have so far been proven wrong. I didn't think that Diego Pavia and this team could talk that much trash, and the SEC teams have nothing to say about it. But so far, the kid just goes about his business. He says, you're next, you're next, you're next. Who can they not beat?
I agree with you 100%. I mean, this team, and again, just throwing the word Vanderbilt and being able to win every game they play in, and when you watch them, if you actually know what you're looking at, this is not a we're sneaking up on this team and we're playing harder than they are, so we have an edge, or they think we're bad because we're Vanderbilt. You snuck up on teams last year to a certain extent. You are not. You're squaring them up and looking them in the eye. They know what is coming, and you're still winning. This is not a fluke. Vanderbilt is just really good. Yep. Look at what they've done in the second half of games. The last 2 weeks. What you did at Virginia Tech, pretty much put Brent Pry on the edge of the door. Old Dominion just kicked them off the plane. I mean, this Vanderbilt team is legitimately a problem. And they're physical, and they're athletic, and they believe, and they're pissed. It's just, who are you taking, Tennessee or Vandy right now?
That's
well, I mean,
that's not even,
that's not even, I mean, the question is, I mean, right now, I mean, Vanderbilt, you're going to have Georgia State and Utah State, which you would think they would beat both those teams.
Oh, they're going to, after
then they're at the road, they're on the road at Alabama, which is going to be a slugfest, an absolute slugfest. So one thing you can't run into a problem is don't let a logo dictate on where you're going to rank teams, right? Yeah. Don't let a brand
or a bet
dictate or a bet, because just watch football. And what Vanderbilt is doing is exactly what you said. They're lining up and kicking people's asses, and it's not like it's a fluke. The Vanderbilt's a talented football team. They got 2 serious backs, 2 good receivers, Diego Pavia, and that defense flies around, and they're athletic. Vandy right now, I mean, and to win the SEC, they're plus 12,500.
Well, again, they're the kid that lost 50 pounds during the summer but before going in their sophomore year of high school, and walked in there now, and they're the belle of the ball.
But now they've kept the weight off.
Yeah,
they were doing this last year. But I think we owe you an answer to your question on the Vanderbilt or Tennessee thing, because a team can underwhelm you in a win, but they can impress you in a loss. Tennessee impressed me in that.
They did me as
I know
well.
We can say they choked it away, wide right field goal. They gave it away at home to Georgia, and that is true, but they impressed me in many ways in a loss. But to me, Vanderbilt is still undefeated. At some point, the wins and losses have to count, which I know is a point we're going to get on when it comes to 0-2 Notre Dame still being ranked in the AP a little bit later.
Yeah, which that's a joke. We'll dive into that one. But Tennessee is there at 13. Again, to Cohn's point, David, it's not like Tennessee is there's not a bad football team on the field in Neyland Stadium this weekend. I mean, it obviously came down to a missed field goal and then overtime. We had Tennessee, I believe, at 13 last week. We didn't want to drop them out because that offense, and say what you want about Georgia's defense, do they have the superstars that it looks like they normally have on the defensive line? No, not really. The secondary got embarrassed in a bunch of 50-50 ball situations. But Tennessee's offense and Joey Aguilar looked pretty damn good to me. I know he turned it over. We knew what was going to happen with the defensive line because of the injuries and the depth situation. We told you that was going to happen. What I did not expect was for them to look that explosive on offense from the rip, and it really didn't stop.
Yeah, well, the one thing that really stood out to me in this game, it wasn't the 60-yard touchdowns, the 70-yard touchdowns. It's Tennessee turn around and just being able to hand the ball off and beat Georgia in the box. I mean, they're averaging 8 yards on first down, and we're actually successful on the ground. So I agree. I just think this game told me a lot more about Gunnar Stockton than that Tennessee's a bad football team.
Those wide receivers for Tennessee, man. I mean, just make play after play after play. Chris Brazzell. So I moved Tennessee down to my honorable mention. Again, the loss has to account for something. And there's only 15 spots, and there's so many good teams. But I don't hate the 13 pick, because at the same time, we're talking about a Georgia team who has ranked in our top 3 since the beginning of the year. Yeah. I understand it.
And also in the chat, let us know, would you take Vanderbilt over Tennessee right now? I want to see what neutral site. Let's call it a neutral site. All right, let's get to 12. Also, I believe, making their debut. And this team is one of the biggest surprises in all of college football because of one thing that we didn't know, and that's Bo Prabula's ability to throw it well enough to make Missouri balanced on offense. We got him at 12. This is a damn good football team. And you go through this schedule right now, and you can, Missouri fans, clown me if you want. I just didn't know if Bo could throw it or not after he left Penn State well enough to not just basically be a triple option offense. Turns out, I mean, you go 30-39. I know Kansas hitting the steel curtain on defense, but you go 30-39 against anybody, that's still pretty good a couple weeks ago. But he looks actually like a natural passer of the ball. Yeah. And when you mix that with not only Purbule's running ability, but Hardy and Roberts, and this offensive line just continuing to impress, we knew the defense was going to be solid, right? They're about what we thought. But Missouri is the most surprising, complete team to me and balanced team on offense. And let's pull up their schedule.
I got it right here. You did say making their debut. They were in our power.
They were in the power rankings last week. 14. That's right. That's right.
So right now, Missouri's schedule, we have South Carolina at home.
Feel good about that.
I don't know what Lenore Sellers injury report. I don't know an update on that. You have UMass at home.
Yeah.
All right. You have Alabama at home. You're on the road at Auburn. You're at Vanderbilt. Texas A&M at home. Mississippi State at home, at Oklahoma, and at Arkansas to finish the year.
So now we really get to find out.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, I'm already regretting some of my my preseason assumptions about Missouri for the reasons that you talked about. And it's not just Purbulle, complete team. And the way Hardy is running the football, man, how many yards after contact did he have this past weekend? And you know what? They're not even celebrating this. They're not out to say, oh, you guys were wrong here because we beat Central Arkansas 61-6. They're just going about their business. One thing, though, that we do have to say is the stiffest competition they played so far was Kansas. Mm-hmm. They did get them at home, and that game was 42-31. Now, I think Kansas, pretty good football team. It's an impressive win, but you just read off the rest of their schedule. Yeah. Now's when we really get to
for sure. It's just off the rack. When I look at Missouri and just watch them play, they just do really good things. Like fundamentally, they look well coached. They look in rhythm. They communicate on defense. And that Kansas offense, not even just talking about the personnel that they have with Jalen Daniels, it's a really hard offense to defend with what they do in the flats, off the split bluff stuff with Daniels' kind of improbability. So Missouri is at 12. And I'm going to be honest with you. You know, we went back and forth on this. Losing someone close to you changes everything, and it's impossible not to think about what the future holds. Now, the truth is, most of us worry about whether our families would be okay financially if something happened to us. But the last thing any of us want is for our loved ones to struggle with bills and expenses during an already difficult time. Now, that's where life insurance from Ethos comes in. It gives you peace of mind that you and your family will be protected no matter what. They make getting life insurance surprisingly simple and affordable. Their completely online platform eliminates the hassle of traditional insurance. No medical exams, no lengthy appointments, just a few quick health questions, and you can get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. You might be surprised to learn that quality coverage can cost as little as $2 a day. And with Ethos, you can customize your policy to fit your budget while still getting up to $3 million in protection. The company has earned serious recognition too. Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider as of March 2025. They got a 4.8 star rating on Trustpilot. It goes to show they've become the go-to choice for people who want reliable coverage. So make sure today, if you're not protected, you protect your family. Get your free quote at ethos.com/booster. That's ethos.com/booster. Who you taking Missouri versus Texas neutral site right now? Who you taking? Because say what you want, and we tried to tell you about Arch, right? Someone's tried to tell you that you got to give this guy time. The hype is too much. I'm watching you struggle against UTEP. Right, I'm watching, what was it, 11 straight incompletions in a row? Was that it against UTEP, which aren't exactly, in exactly the Packers' defense right now. Texas is at 11. They go from 9 to 11. I hate when those numbers are next to each other, but they go from 9 to 11 right in front of Missouri. And it was tough not to put Missouri in front of them. Mm-hmm. What would the spread be? What do you think the spread would be neutral site? Texas 2.5 right now over Missouri?
It'd be a pick 'em.
Yeah, it'd be about a pick 'em. I mean, how are we feeling about Texas now? Again, I believe they go, to Florida here in a week, something like that. I don't know, man. This team just doesn't, it's not popping on offense the way it should start to start popping once Arch has at this level of experience in the season against inferior competition.
I mean, Quinn Ewers, please come back. Please come back. I mean, the one thing I'm worried about is it hasn't gotten better.
That's the problem.
Right? I haven't seen any improvement. Arch still looks the same way he did against Ohio State. And I don't know if it's a play calling thing. Usually that's not the problem with Sark. But Texas is really, Texas is a really damn good football team.
They've got really good players.
They're really good. It's just right now what is holding them back and what I thought held them back last year, Arch Manning is holding Texas back, right? And, I mean, you saw, I thought Quinn Ewers was good. I didn't think he was fantastic. last year. They still made the semifinals, and I had Texas winning the national championship. After these performances, I'm even okay with Texas not being in the top 15. Because they don't look like a top 15 team to me.
They're not. They have top 15 personnel, but they're not playing collectively.
That's the
as
important distinction that I think is going to continue rearing its head as we do power rankings each week. The difference between a really good football team and a team that has really good football players, because they are not the same. Now, I'd still like to have a team with really good football players because you can get better as a team week to week.
Yes.
Steve Sarkisian has proven that to me. He's the only coach in college football to make the college football playoff the last 2 seasons. Granted, he did that with a different quarterback who's in the NFL now. Can Steve Sarkisian take this team with really good personnel and get better each week? Because while they didn't look great against UTEP, they still won the football game. And the goal is not to cover spreads. It's to win games and improve little bits each week.
Well, if it does click, then like you said, it's the same thing I think with Alabama a little bit.
Yeah.
Like if it does click, you have good enough players to not only turn this thing around, but be pretty damn good.
And it's clicking for Alabama.
We just got to see it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, if there's ever a time to make it click.
Yeah, read the schedule.
You got Sam Houston at home this weekend.
Yep.
Which would be an absolute
one guy.
timing. Then you're on the road at Florida. All right, Oklahoma. You're at Kentucky. Throttle them. At Mississippi State. Vanderbilt at home. At Georgia. Arkansas at home. And then Texas A&M to finish the year.
So there's opportunities.
There's
opportunities.
There is, but there's some landmines in there too. If they keep playing this way on offense, they're not. Shoot, it looks like 8-4. They look like an 8-4 football team right now to me.
Yeah,
when you watch them play. All right, let's get to 10. Utah. Kyle Whittingham, baby. Was it the sexiest against Wyoming? No, but they did cover. And your boy had them at 23.5. They
we'll
scored
find out
with like a minute 18. We get to who are they playing this week?
They got Texas Tech at home.
At home. That's the thing with Utah. That's why I got them winning the Big 12. They get a lot of these games at home. I mean,
and then at West Virginia, who just won the backyard brawl.
What a
Did you
game.
see Rich Rod?
Wow.
Did you see Rich Rod's interview?
What'd he say?
After he was talking about West Virginia, it was pretty good. You could tell it's like purse.
Oh, yeah.
It's super purse.
And right now, just quickly, the spread opened at -3.5 Utah for the Texas Tech.
What's the over-under at?
57.5.
I mean, I like the over.
Still taking overs.
I like that. Texas Tech going to throw it deep 75 times a game. They're going to throw it deep 75 times a game. I like the physicality of this Utah team, and I'm glad we get to see Texas Tech against a team that is physical, because that's how we're going to get to know about Texas Tech as well. Yeah, they can throw it around against a bunch of blind kids and robots without legs. I want to see you do it against a team like Utah that on the line of scrimmage is going to challenge you. They're going to get after Baron Morton. They're going to make Texas Tech have to be on time, whether that's getting the ball out early on a 9 route and trying to loft it in there. They're going to be more sped up. Can Texas Tech run the ball and play physical defense? Because Dampier is going to test your will on that front 7 as well. So if you're a Texas Tech fan, this is a great test for you to see, hey, all this money we spent bringing in this personnel, how good are we really? You're going to Rice-Eccles, which it's going to be nuts. That's one of the most underrated places, I think, in all of college football to have to go in and play at. I just really like this Utah team, but I'm glad we finally get to see a matchup. We can get a little bit more truer data from one of these games.
So let's forecast for a second. Let's say hypothetically Texas Tech beats Utah by 7 points. How far does Utah drop, and how high does Texas Tech climb for you?
Well, I want to see kind of how it happens, right? If it's a game that Utah is physically dominating, but there's mistakes, whether they be on like special teams or drop passes or penalties, and it keeps Texas Tech alive and Texas Tech finds a way to win, that's one thing. If Texas Tech goes in there and physically shows me they can hold up with Utah up front and play that style of game and they win by 7, I think Texas Tech has to jet up this list, because that means you got a little bit of everything. That means you got the slap and tickle, right? The pizzazz, the speed, but also the fight and the physicality to be able to hold up. Because I think if Texas Tech shows that, then we're looking at a team that legitimately can not only make the playoff, but win some playoff games with the personnel that they have. That's what I think. What do you think, Mike?
It's just the battle of the best team in the Big 12, right? That's where I think Utah right now is the best team in the Big 12, and Texas Tech's beat them. I think Texas Tech will be the best team.
So not Kansas State.
Look, they're still fighting, okay? And I'm not talking about Avery's dad and brother.
But man, what a fall off.
Bro, it's so bad.
And since his family went and fought outside the stadium, I thought that could be like an ignition point, right, for Kansas State to turn it around after an opening season loss. You're in a different continent,
Yeah.
But instead it's just
it just feels like there was like a Freaky Friday situation with Avery Johnson. where like he's in another person's body, just walking around trying to figure out a way to get back in his body. Because he just doesn't look. I mean, he's throwing the ball worse than he ever has.
It's
right now. And Matt Wells' play calling's bad.
Everything's
bad.
funky.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem smooth. All right, let's move on. Was A&M in the top 15 last week? I don't think they were. Guys, you go on the road, and I know Notre Dame's not in here anymore, but we know the way they fought Miami. We know how good we think Miami is. You go on the road and beat Notre Dame. I don't care how it happened. It just happened all off season. So why is nobody talking about Marcel Reed? Why is nobody talking about Marcel Reed? Everybody's talking about DJ Lagway. And I understand why. And Lenoris. And I understand why. The Arch hype, never understood that. But Marcel Reed, ho-hum, goes out, wins a big one, finds a way on 4th down. Is Texas A&M defense any good? I don't know. I really don't. They don't look that great in the front 7. Think they've got athletes to be able to fix it. I'm shocked they're not great on defense. But, buddy, Concepcion and Craver were huge pickups. Craver is playing out of his mind right now. You know who Texas A&M reminds me of? You know who they really look like this year? Looks like LSU looked the past couple years. Look exactly like them.
Yeah.
I'm watching an athletic quarterback run around and make plays
with two great
wide receivers and a defense right now that couldn't stop a nosebleed in a nurse's office.
Which is the opposite of what Mike Elko is.
100%.
But this is so I'm so used to coming on here and talking about Texas A&M losing these type of games.
I know.
The closest games, just finding a way to lose it, and it's so huge for them just to get over that hump.
And you did it against Type. You did it against Type.
You went against the grain and still won this football game. So for Texas A&M, from a confidence standpoint, I mean, you should be just over the moon.
They just wanted that win more at the end of that. And think about the play that won it for them. Back shoulder to a blocking tight end.
Yeah.
Never thought it was coming.
Annexation of Puerto Rico.
Hey, kickoff return touchdown gets called back for holding. Let's figure out a different way to win this football game. They just wanted it more than Notre Dame. But here's the thing. Texas A&M at 9 right now. Texas at 11. Neutral site right this second. And this isn't how we do our power rankings, but it is an interesting thought experiment. Texas A&M, Texas, neutral site. They play today. What are you taking?
Boys football season is here. The tailgating is elite. The grilling is at a level that it doesn't get to at any other point in the year. I don't care what anybody says. That's why you need to make sure you have quality meat. And with Good Ranchers, it's 100% American meat from local farms and ranches delivered straight to your door. The amount of steak, chicken, everything pretty much imaginable you could think you put on a grill, we've used from Good Ranchers. And when you subscribe to any Good Ranchers box today and you use code BOOSTER, that's BOOSTER, you get your pick of free meat for life. That's right, it's free meat for life, not just your first box. So hit up goodranchers.com, use code BOOSTER for $40 off, plus free meat for life. I mean, heck, we're going to make some tacos this weekend.
Ground beef tacos?
Actually going to go steak.
Really?
Steak up, cut it up.
We've been going ground beef tacos with Good Ranchers.
You can't. It's impossible to miss when you use Good Ranchers. I actually made some wings. The wings Blaine made.
Yeah.
The spicy barbecue ones were really, really good. So head over to goodranchers.com. Make sure you use that code BOOSTER for that $40 off and free meat for life. Good Ranchers, welcome to the table. I'm taking A&M. I mean, A&M's got good enough athletes on defense to be able to keep some things in front of them against Texas. It's the front 7 that worries me, which, again, if Texas is able to run the ball, then you may be cooked. But I think A&M, with Marcel Reed, does have a chance to move the ball. I'm telling you, having Concepcion and Craver do what they're doing right now opens up so much more. And Moss is a really good back.
I just think Arch Manning would make the Texas A&M defense look a lot better than what they actually.
That's why I'm going A&M.
Yeah. Well, we will get that matchup. It won't be neutral site. It'll be in Austin, and it'll be the last game of the year. And remember, the implications for that one last year was whoever wins it goes to the SEC championship.
Go through A&M's schedule.
I got it right here. I think you're on a bye week this week. Then you have Auburn at home.
Okay.
Mississippi State at home.
Okay.
Florida at home.
Okay.
At Arkansas.
Okay.
At LSU.
Damn.
At Missouri.
Harder than we thought.
South Carolina at home.
Easier than we thought.
Sanford at home.
Never hard.
Then at Texas.
I mean,
it's there for the
tenant out of the equation here.
And let's be honest, that should have been worse than it was against Notre Dame. Notre Dame won't come out of man coverage,
they won't.
even though they're performing so poorly in the secondary. Marcel Reed missed a couple throws that I thought could have put Notre Dame away early.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I thought Notre Dame dropped a couple interceptions that could have put the game away late. But to your point, here's the problem, and this is what worries me about Auburn right now. And Notre Dame has the same problem. If you are going to be a heavy man coverage team, which means that most of the time you are running man coverage, You always run a little bit of both, but just like a run game and pass game on offense, from a coverage standpoint, there's going to be stuff that you're better at that you want to run more of. You cannot be a heavy man team and not be able to rush the passer really at all. Now, it's tough to be a zone coverage team and not be able to rush the passer at all. And I know Auburn's like leading the SEC right now in tackles for loss or this, that, or the other. I'm worried about Auburn rushing the passer. I'm worried about Notre Dame rushing the passer. And if you play man behind it, you're cooked. Why do you think Miami kept running the same stuff over and over again on big third downs when they knew Notre Dame was in man, whether they pressured or they didn't? It's a dangerous way to go through life.
Game of adjustments.
It's a game of adjustments, and Notre Dame is going to have to find a way to answer that like I think Auburn is, or they're going to be in trouble. All right, speaking about Auburn, they go on the road and play this team this weekend, staying at 8 after handling business against Temple. Went to Philly to play that game. Must have wanted some cheesesteaks really bad or something. The Oklahoma Sooners, John Mateer, all off season. Feel like we were the first one on the bandwagon, right? Back in March. You can go check it. How good is this Oklahoma team, David Cone? Just watch. I know Mateer's gotten away with some stuff, right? There's some interceptions that have not been interceptions that he's gotten away with. We did our Oklahoma-Auburn preview you can find on the channel, did that yesterday. I like the matchup for Oklahoma against Auburn. I like the way this defensive line's playing.
I think Oklahoma's a really good football team. We've said that the entire offseason. We just wanted to see it with our eyes. And I think the more Michigan continues to win and impress, obviously makes Oklahoma look even better. John Mateer, he knows what the mission is. You got to limit mistakes, especially as you enter league play, while continuing to be that gunslinger who can make plays in the biggest moments. I just think they're incredibly balanced, and I think they're dynamic on both sides of the football. Now the onus is on them to go out and prove it in league play.
Blaine, and Mateer's going to get most of the talk, and he should. Again, picked him to win the Heisman. I think he's that good. But what I like about Oklahoma is the swag is back. Like, you watch this group walk around and run around on the field compared to the dysfunctional disaster that it was last year. And not just because Jackson Arnold was struggling. There's a bunch wrong with that team. This Oklahoma team, it seems like they feel disrespected, but they're also really, really confident. And I think that starts with Mateer, and it's bled over to the defense. I just want to keep bringing up the defense. I'm watching them knock guys upside down.
That's the thing. When you look at this Oklahoma team, all the eyes want to go to where? The offense. They want to go to John Mateer. But the reason I had Oklahoma in the SEC championship is the way that this team is built, right? Brent Venables is a defensive coach. One of the best minds in college football when it comes to calling plays and being a defensive coordinator. And he's got that right. Oklahoma's defensive line and their backers, even with what they lost, are a problem. I think you saw that against Michigan. And their secondary is good, but not great. And then you add a John Mateer at quarterback. You're figuring out your run game with Blaylock. You have 2 true wide receivers. I think right now you can, and they'll find out. I think Auburn's going to be a great test for them because I think Auburn has the best offense they're going to see this year so far. I think they're better in Michigan. We're going to find out a lot about Oklahoma after this Saturday because I think you could put them anywhere from 8-1 if you wanted to.
For sure, and that's what makes the start of the year so interesting, and we're going to obviously keep monitoring them. They've got some huge, their schedule's absolutely brutal, starting with this stretch, starting with Auburn at home. All right, let's move on to 7 here, and this is probably where my biggest disagreement with our list. And after watching them, because I know, again, they've played a couple teams that aren't great, and then went on the road and played Northwestern, and that's Oregon at 7. I know a lot of people are high on Dante Moore. I think he's got a lot of talent. What I am worried about after watching Oregon against Northwestern is the front 7 on defense. That's where I am worried about Oregon. I know DeCorian Moore can play. I know they got backs that can run. I know Dante Moore can make every single throw. There's going to be some ups and downs because he's still green. But this Oregon defensive line in front 7 was getting walked at times by Northwestern. I know Northwestern didn't score 1,000,000 points, but I'm a little bit, because Preston Stone threw it to Oregon about 4 times. They didn't have 4 interceptions, but he threw it to Oregon about 4 or 5 times. I don't know about the defense, man. I don't know if like a matchup against Penn State is going to be great for them and the run game that Penn State has. And you can say, oh, well, they struggled with FIU for a little bit, this, that, and the other. I don't know if Oregon's a top 10 football team. I don't know if they are.
I think that's a little bit of a stretch. I think they're a top 10 team just because that offense is that good, right? I will say this, and I brought this up last year. Oregon against playoff teams last year gave up 30-plus points on defense. And right now, I think they can score 30-plus points every game. I think they're that good on offense. But it seems like the exact same story is going to be what it was last year.
No.
I guarantee they'll play Penn State. And if they win, it'll be 37-34. If they lose, it'll be 37-34. I don't think this front seven is good enough to stifle. They got a couple pass rushers coming off the edge, getting to the quarterback.
I'm talking about the point of
somebody
contact.
Getting downhill,
Which shocks
on
me
Oregon,
with Dan.
I know, but Northwestern, I mean, they had 178 rushing yards. I know they hit a big one late, but they're averaging 4 to 5 a carry, right? And you play a Penn State team with those two backs, I'm just telling you, it's going to be a field day. So it might be the same kind of Oregon team we saw last year that we're going to see this year.
Well, and look, I'll just say through 3 games so far, they look better than they did a year ago. Remember, we were scratching our heads last year.
Was it Idaho or something?
Well, it was a couple different, that one, and then
Boise
played him close. But more importantly, it was, Dylan Gabriel throwing interceptions in the red zone like we weren't accustomed to that. And it just didn't look clean. And they went on and went undefeated in the regular season and won the Big Ten their first year in the league. Again, they can't control their schedule. They're just playing and beating who they are scheduled to play. The Oklahoma State win those 69-3. That should be impressive no matter what Oklahoma State's bringing to the table. They should never be that bad. I don't know what's going on. And then at Northwestern, 34-14, that's still a league game. So I think that we're going to get more important data points here coming up soon. And remember, they're one of those teams that has to play at Penn State. At Penn State, and we get that, 2 weeks from now?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, so we'll find out a lot more then.
And look, if they're ever a team to, get it clicking against, Oregon State's terrible.
They're terrible.
They're terrible.
No, like I'm going
it's
to
34 and a half last time I
What's
saw
the Oregon do they have a TTP yet? Probably not.
Give me 30 seconds.
Yeah, because I don't want to touch the over because Oregon State's offense. Malik Murphy.
No Buckeyes on this schedule. No Michigan on this schedule. No Illinois on this schedule. No, I mean, even Indiana at this point. They do play USC, and they'll end the year with Washington. So, again, I think
I'm feeling better about that Washington pick.
Yeah, you like Washington.
I'm ready to see Washington against somebody. Like, legitimately against somebody with the
Oregon.
I'm sorry. They do play Indiana. They do get Indiana. On
Oregon TTP is 45 and a half.
Oh, 45. If that could come down to 44 and a half, I may put the Viola College Fund on.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we will go Ivy League. Or maybe not with the way it's going. All right, 6. Our second ACC team on this list. The Florida State Seminoles. We're hoping to get Cannell on this week.
Yeah, Danny.
Right. Yeah, which I know.
I bet he'll be in a terrible
He's having the time of his life. I believe Florida State, they were off.
Yeah.
This
Bye
weekend.
week.
Yeah. They obviously had the big win over Alabama.
Too.
They've got 2 bye weeks in a row.
Well, they got Kent State.
Okay, they'll murder Kent State.
Yeah.
What's the spread on that?
Last time I saw it, it was 50-something.
Kent State actually put up a fight against Buffalo. But this Florida State team, all right, obviously we're going to have Miami ahead of them. I'll say what I said last week, because, again, they didn't play anybody. We're not moving them. When I turn on Florida State and I see a quarterback that's athletic and running around and winning in the improvised chaos plays and throwing to guys like Deuce that are humongous at Florida State, it just brings back memories. The Jordan Travis, Johnny Wilson. The Jordan Travis, Keon Coleman. I like what Florida State's doing because of the line of scrimmage. The same place they were weak last year, at least up to this point. And again, the sample size isn't huge. You beat Alabama, then you murdered East Texas A&M, I think.
Yeah.
Then you're off this week, going to murder Kent State. No reason to drop them. I think Florida State is legit, 100% legit.
I think they're legit too. And look, if you're an Alabama fan, you're wanting Florida State to be legit.
Yeah, for sure.
Alabama still needs to handle their business, and we're going to talk about them in the honorable mention in a little bit. But you need to handle your business. But on the periphery, you're still hoping Florida State wins a lot of football games. And I'm just so glad that we don't have to talk about Florida State and Miami in a hypothetical. We get that game in Doak Campbell in 3 weeks, brother.
It's going to be...
Sign me up, because when I grew up loving college football in the late 90s and early 2000s, that game really meant something.
Yeah, Florida State, Miami being good is just good for college football.
Love it.
It is.
I mean, and we'll find out. I mean, they got Kent State at home, then at Virginia, then they got Miami. And then Pitt at home, which is a sneaky game too, at Stanford, Wake Forest at home, at Clemson, Virginia Tech at home, at NC State, then obviously at Florida in the year. But Miami's got to take...
Well, I'll be honest with you, those Clemson and Florida games are looking a little bit better than they did than before the season.
Mm-hmm.
That's for damn sure if I'm Florida State. It's
yeah.
got a little bit of a different prism. I'm looking at those two. All right, this team was at 3, and we dropped them to 5. And it's because some of these other teams that we moved ahead of them, we've seen play quality opponents. Now, this is Penn State we're talking about. We know Drew Allar's been there forever. We know Singleton and Allen and Pena and some of the pieces they have on the outside. We know they're talented. And yeah, they haven't been sexy against FIU and some of these, the weaker teams, really only weak teams is what they've played. But at the end of the day, you still feel like Penn State is a top 5 football team. And that, again, I know Georgia struggled, David, against Austin Peay, right? But they went on the road and beat Tennessee and showed us something. So we moved Georgia ahead of Penn State. Penn State is going to get their chance eventually, and if they prove it, I think we should move them back up.
Here's the thing. I don't look at this as we punish Penn State and drop them. I look at it as some other teams jump them because they played more quality opponents. And to be honest with you, I don't think Penn State fans, the majority of them, are going to be that mad about what do you really care? You're still in the top 5 in our rankings after playing Nevada, FIU, and Villanova. But guess what? You get a bye week before you host the Oregon Ducks in the entire world. You're going to be on display in front of the entire world, and then we really get to find out.
The real question is, if Penn State does beat Oregon, where do they go? How high do they go?
Well, I think it depends on what happens around them because, you get, let's say you beat Oregon, you're 4-0. You're going to beat UCLA. You're going to beat Northwestern. You're going to be sitting there at 6-0, and then you go to Iowa, then you go to Ohio State.
Yep.
That's when.
So I mean,
again, you're going to find out against Oregon, but I would not be surprised if Penn State lined up, and that game's at home. That game is at home against Oregon?
Yes.
Just lined up. I wonder if it'll be a whiteout. It's probably going to be nuts. Because if Penn State wins that game, especially if they win it convincingly, you can make a case for them being number 1.
It's going to be a night game. Night game, 6:30 on NBC.
They'll white out that.
Fast forward to that week a little bit, which I know is, I get it. You'll have LSU and Ole Miss that week. You'll have Penn State, Oregon. And other than that, I mean, you'll have Alabama, Georgia, but I don't think Georgia beating Alabama is going to rank them that much higher after what we saw with Alabama. So, I mean, Penn State, Oregon is going to be the game that week.
It's going to be prime time.
I wouldn't be surprised that a lot of people are going to have Penn State number 1 in the country.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, you got them winning it, right, David?
I do.
Yeah, you got Penn State winning it. All right, let's move on. Let's go to number 4, a team that we moved up, and I think you can make the argument they look like the best team in the country. That's another team out of the ACC. That's the Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Tell you what, boys. And the thing that impresses me about Miami, and you can say, oh, well, USF had 2 tough games before this. And I mean, Miami did play Notre Dame. I know they played Bethune, week 2 and murdered them. But when you watch Miami play, damn it looks like they know what they're doing. And they play complimentary football. They look like a complete team. And say what you want about Carson Beck looking like Sid the Sloth or whatever. If you give old buddy time in the pocket, he is going to carve you up like a Thanksgiving turkey, or if they let Jillian Michaels work a fat camp for 6 months. I'm talking carved, shredded, sautéed, filleted, tenderized, whatever. This Miami team handled USF like it was nothing. They handled USF the way that Florida should have handled USF defensively, making them do things they aren't comfortable with. But that shows you the difference in between a team that is complete, a team that believes, and a team that, Blaine, I'll go to you first, is pretty damn good up front. Miami's a problem.
I mean, first of all, I think you have to give a lot of credit to not only Mario Cristobal, but Corey Heatherman, the defensive coordinator.
100%.
Look, the Miami offense was never the question, especially walking into last year. Their defense was atrocious, especially in the secondary. I haven't seen a better flip on a talent. Maybe LSU you could go look at just from a complete 180 of what they were last year.
Florida State, maybe?
Maybe Florida State.
With Tony White?
But Miami is a legitimate college football team on every single level.
They got everything.
Defensive line, you could weight it with the best. Their linebacker core is playing phenomenal. Their secondary is just mwah. It's everything you want. Physical, smart, can play the ball in the air, can solo tackle in space. And Carson Beck being Carson Beck. But the biggest thing to me is this Miami defense has got it figured out. And when you do that, they're a complete team. And right now, I don't think it's a crazy thing to put them at number 1 in the country.
I did.
Yeah, I know.
I'll be honest
you had
with
them
you guys.
one.
I ranked Miami number 1 this week just because I see the combination of beating Notre Dame and South Florida as being as impressive or more impressive than the single win for the Buckeyes at home against Texas, which was very
totally
impressive.
Understandable.
Or Georgia's win at Neyland Stadium, which was very impressive. again, I was wrong about this team preseason because I thought we might see a backfire of the mercenary transfer approach the way that we saw at Florida State a year ago. I didn't think it'd be 2-10 bad, but again, Carson Beck, I didn't see him as coming into Miami and being like the leader that clearly he has been so far with the way that this team has responded. Now, the question for me is, can you finish? Because Miami looked this impressive a year ago, not as balanced, but we didn't see the defense as being that terrible in the first couple weeks. It started to rear its head, and we knew how special Cam Ward was. Can you finish and still continue to improve every week?
Well, it's when you watch them get off the ball, it's got to give you a lot of confidence both ways. I actually thought them having to replace Restrepo was going to be a much bigger deal than it's turned out to be. But, I mean, you look at the guys they got running around right now at wide receiver. It's plenty good enough. And Carson, that ball's on time. The run game is good, which they were able to run it well last year. The physicality that they ran with Martinez and that offensive line last year was good. And then Cam would do his thing. It's just very on time. There's Walmart, and then there's Super Walmart. You can get most everything at a Walmart. You can get anything you want at a Super Walmart. Right now, Miami is the Super Walmart. You can get it to it. They can give it to you any way you want.
So let me ask you guys this. Hosting Florida this week. I said a week ago LSU was going to get Florida's best shot coming off the loss against South Florida. What now for the Gators? DJ Lagway throwing 5 interceptions. Is their back still against the wall, or are we going to see a little bit of quit in this team? And how does that affect Miami? Because it seems like if you beat Florida, you don't get credit for an impressive win because Florida will have started, what, at that point, 1-3?
You will get more credit for the USF and Notre Dame wins. Notre Dame has not won a game yet, but you will get more credit for those than you will.
It seems like Miami's being put in this situation where if you beat Florida at home, which should always mean something, it might not mean a lot to a lot of people across the country.
Well,
but if you lose, then you still get blamed.
Well, look at LSU. I mean, reporters are mad at Brian Kelly for winning 20-10 over Florida. So unless
I didn't mind Brian Kelly's response.
I didn't mind it either.
People thought he was turning.
No, I didn't mind it. I thought that's an awful way to start that press conference with that question. Like you're just totally. And again, I'm sure
Brian Kelly has been in his bag this year.
He's been in his bag.
I said, Brian, this is the most likable Brian Kelly I've seen.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot more easy to be like too when you're winning, of course, and that's what he's done. But to your point, if they don't beat Florida's ass like bad, then people say, oh, well, it's an okay one, which is ridiculous, but I don't think Miami cares. I don't think Miami cares at all. I think this team is very focused. They seem to understand the mission up to this point. They have not changed, whether it was Notre Dame, whether it was Bethune, or whether it was USF. It's I'm getting the belt out, and when Dad gets home, I'm whipping that ass. And that's what Miami's
one thing
done.
You'd like to see if you're Miami is Notre Dame to turn this thing around. You would have liked to see Notre Dame beat Texas A&M, but certainly you don't want the Irish to fall off a cliff because that was a 3-point victory in week 1. You want them to look as strong as possible.
For sure. And whether it's a cliff or a cliff, that sounds terrible to fall off of.
And right now, the Florida
never felt off a cliff.
Right now, the Florida-Miami spread is -7.5.
Minus 7.5. You think that's going to get bet down or bet up?
I think that'll get bet up.
I don't think Florida will quit. I just don't think Florida's good enough. I think my washing machine plays hard. Like you're expected to play hard. All right, so let's get to number 3. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. So don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. We're putting out our lineups every single weekend, so make sure you're following us on social. It is a fantastic product. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy simple. Just select more or less on a 2 to 6 player projection to build your lineup, and when your picks hit, you have the opportunity to win up to 2,000 times your money. It's available in over 40 states, and Prize Picks puts members first with fast, secure withdrawals through Venmo, Apple Pay, and MasterCard. You can trust them. Their innovative Flex Play even lets you cash out and double your money if one pick doesn't hit perfectly. So turn your sports knowledge into real money in under 60 seconds on Prize Picks, trusted, skill-based fantasy platform that millions of users rely on to add to the excitement of the season. We've won a bunch of money. We can go through the litany of times, regardless of what sport it's in. You can check the receipts on that one on social media. So download the app today and use our code BOOSTER to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code BOOSTER to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. With Prize Picks, it's good to be right. What a game in Knoxville. We had a full reaction to it. Make sure you go check it out. Georgia moves up to number 3 in our week 4 power rankings, our top 15. And it's if you're Georgia, it's kind of conflicting because on one side you're like, Gunnar Stockton can do it. He can do it. Big moment, put him on the table. What did I say? What did Drake say in that one song? You want to know if it's the truth, then pull the zipper down and see. Well, we saw it. Gunnar Stockton, 4th and what? 8? 18? Drops it in the bucket.
First of all, the play call.
I thought Bobo's back.
Woo.
I thought Bobo's. It's amazing. There won't be all those Mike Bobo haters.
And it was
out on Georgia.
It was on the money.
On the money. Gunnar showed up
because DB was playing good defense.
Gunnar showed up when he had to. Gunner's legit. We knew they were going to be able to run the ball against Tennessee. It's the defense, and you got to give Tennessee credit.
Yeah.
All right. They made some big plays. Brazzle turned it into Brazzers for about 3 quarters.
Yeah. The only look, Tennessee's going to somewhat get there with the players in the system that they run. But the one thing that stood out to me, and I brought this up when we talked about Tennessee, is Tennessee was winning between the tackles.
Yeah.
Right? That's not where, I'm used to, I can see a DB getting beat at Georgia and stuff like that.
One-on-one ball,
I've seen that before, right?
Yeah.
But I've never seen Georgia get moved around like that between the tackles. So it was a great win, but there's still a lot of question marks on Georgia.
Yeah, well, one of the things that set up the game is Coney, to Blaine's point, I have never had to see a Georgia safety make that many run-saving tackles, or they were going to be huge chunk plays in a game at all. Typically, I'm watching Georgia's defensive linemen from Mordor just crawl through guys and two-gap and open the hole for one of those linebackers just to come downfield and murder a running back in the backfield. You're not seeing that with that Georgia defense, but you look up. I mean, you dropped the 40. I mean, you dropped the what?
Gray, look.
It's
44-41.
44-41. You drop a 44
piece. Know how to win in multiple ways.
For sure.
And look, I'm sure, at some point, we'll look up and it'll be the Alabama game, and Georgia's defense is flying around, making plays. Because a lot of it's just scheme. I mean, styles make fights, right? And anytime you have to go against Tennessee, the way they spread you out and the angles they take away from you, and they make it so solo. Every guy's position matters.
You have to make one-on-one
so
plays.
much, absolutely.
It's almost like playing 5 out.
It's like I'm worried about Georgia's defense, but at the same time, I'm not worried about Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, look, Alabama was up 28-0 a year ago. Jalen Milroe put on the performance of a lifetime. Georgia bounces back, and they're shutting out Texas at halftime in that game, right? So they're going to bounce back. And again, look, I just continue to think it says more about Tennessee on offense. Not only that offensive line working up to that second level so backs could get up on safeties, but these wide receivers making plays. I'm not used to Georgia DBs just getting mossed for 7
multiple times. One time.
So again, that's why Tennessee didn't move that far in this one. But Georgia's got who coming up?
I got Bama.
They got bye week and
then Bama, right?
Bama.
Yeah, Georgia and Bama have a bye week.
That's at Georgia.
That's at Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
God.
But Gunnar Stockton showed why he's the starting quarterback at Georgia.
100. Yeah, there's no.
And look, again, it's about the team who can finish. I mean, Tennessee had a chance to hit a walk-off field goal, win the football game, but
it's a game of inches, man.
Georgia finished it.
Game of inches, game of moments. All right, number 2. Haven't moved them from last week. You can probably guess 2 and 1. LSU. Now, want to throw this out there. We've given LSU a ton of flowers about fixing the defense. Blake Baker. You talk about disguising, but you talk about playing with mature aggression, playing with competitive aggressiveness, smart aggressiveness. LSU's defense has looked awesome. And I know Florida has good players. You can say what you want about Billy, but Florida's got players that can do it. At what point do we start worrying a little bit about this LSU offense? I know we talked about the Brian Kelly thing. You can look at the third down numbers. I'm not, because I know the talent on there, and I think they're playing. This is Brian Kelly's style of football. If you go back and watch Brian Kelly's teams, this is how it kind of works. Mm-hmm. The offense is able to do ball control. They can be explosive at times. It's not going to be the razzle-dazzle you saw with Jaden Daniels when he was at LSU and all that, but it doesn't have to be, or really needs to be, when you have the type of balance and you're playing the complementary football that they're playing. But Cone, what's your level of, you're watching Nuss. How do you feel about the operation?
As I said on yesterday's recap, there's a pro and con situation to this LSU offense. The con is, you got Garrett Nussmeier, who's leaving me scratching my head on a couple throws per game. That throw across his body that was an interception this past weekend, that's what you get on the flip side of having a gunslinger at the position who thinks he can make every single throw. And you saw Brian Kelly come over to the sideline and address it immediately. The pro side of it, though, is he's a 4th 4,000-yard passer from a year ago who's a coach's son, who's a veteran guy, who can, I believe, limit those mistakes as the season goes on, even though you're never going to completely separate him from an old-school gunslinger mentality. The other pro side of the offense is the biggest question we raised in the offseason for that offense was, can you run the football? 3 straight performances of over 100 yards rushing. That is impressive. That is a great sign, and that's something that you can build off of.
Blaine, how do you feel about LSU right now?
I feel fantastic. I've felt fantastic. The good thing about it is, like, you don't need Nuss to throw for 4,000 yards. It's fantastic because you have Caden Durham at running back. You can turn around and hand the ball off. You have 3 legitimate wide receivers. You have a tight end who didn't even play in the Florida game. And another reason I'm not worried about their offense, you play Southeast Louisiana, kill them. Then you're at Ole Miss. Defense terrible. South Carolina at Vandy, A&M, and then Bama. So you're not going to face, I guess, a really good defense. South Carolina's somewhat.
Vandy's, defense running around.
Vandy, I'm just saying, right now, I'm not worried at all. I know who Nuss is. He is a gunslinger. I think he can fix his mistakes. You have a run game. Your offensive line, I thought, has played fantastic. And you have pieces at receiver, and that defense is legitimate. I think LSU is fine. I still think LSU is the best team in the country, and I'm not budging.
Yeah. All right, I mean, again, I can understand it. You can make it a good argument. We're going to continue to find out. But number one, and I know against Ohio, who beat West Virginia, by the way, it wasn't sexy. Ohio State ended up pulling away late. They stay at the top spot. But I'm going to say this is not a cemented, I feel 100% amazing that Ohio State is the best team in the country. I think you can make an argument, to be honest with you, maybe 1 through 8, and have 7 to 8 teams that you could have a legitimate case, or at least a logical case to be number one. The Texas win, it's not aging as beautifully as we thought, but let Texas play somebody that's worth their salt. Maybe it does look better. Coney, watching Ohio State, watching them struggle against Ohio, was that a combination of vanilla play calling, Ohio being better than what Ohio typically is, or did Ohio State just sleepwalk?
Every year we see this a couple times from them. They're up 13-9 on some opponent at the beginning of the third quarter, and they still win by how many points did they?
It was 37-9.
Again, lose those type of games, and then we can have a conversation. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't think you haven't been anointed. There's no crown on your head, especially with a young quarterback. And as impressive as Julian Sayin was against that Texas defense at home, like that's not you don't get the national championship for doing that. You're going to have to do it several more times again. They go on the road to Washington. Remember, this is a game we talked about preseason. You go on the road to Illinois, which I want to bring up in a minute because I think it's probably our biggest snub from our top 15 here. You go on the road and play Michigan. You get Penn State at home. Julian Sayin and this offense, they're going to have to continue to do it against multiple good teams throughout the season.
Well, I'm glad you bring that up because I believe Illinois plays Indiana this weekend.
Yep.
Correct?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I think at this point in the season, and I'm not trying to disrespect Manny Diaz and Duke that much, but do we put the winner of the Illinois-Indiana, is the winner of that game, is that a top 15 team, do you think?
Oh, yeah. I already have Illinois.
Yeah. Okay.
I already have Illinois at, let's see what I have them at this week. I have them at 10, actually. Now, again, you played Western Illinois, you played at Duke, you played Western Michigan. You can argue that the sample size against quality opponents just hasn't been there. But I think Illinois is poised to make a run and to maybe do something that Indiana did a year ago, which is have a really solid football team that also benefits from their schedule and finds a way to make the college football playoff.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll be in our picks that we put out on Wednesday. Excited to look at that one because that could end up carrying a lot of weight at the end of the year if either one of those teams are going to make it. But first 4 out, we kind of do these also a little bit individually as well. The first, you remember we had Iowa State at 15 last week. Didn't look great against Arkansas State. I thought Arkansas State kind of got screwed by the officiating. And that Kansas State win, it's just, and it's not Iowa State's fault, but it's just looking worse and worse by the week. Kansas State, like we mentioned earlier. But we have Auburn, which you beat Oklahoma this weekend on the road. You best go ahead and punch your ticket to probably the top 10.
Yeah, I agree.
Bama, kind of coming back in the fold a little bit, looking the way they looked against, I know Wisconsin sucks. I get it. I know it's a backup quarterback at the end of the day. But then, you know,
still, man, I mean, they're doing the only thing they can do.
Only thing they can
respond.
do.
And again,
we're going to get to know.
The more that we say Florida State to lead, then the better that loss opening week should look. And I mean, I think Alabama would beat a number of teams in our top 15. But again, the loss still has to account for
it. It still has to matter.
Right?
It still has to matter. And then a couple, you know, you bring up Illinois, Ole Miss. And to be honest with you, I watched Chambliss ball this weekend.
He's nice,
good. Austin Simmons, I love me some Austin Simmons, But I watched Chambliss ball. Like, is there a quarterback controversy at Ole Miss right now with the way old boy played?
There should be the way he played.
I mean, and the running element too.
So what's the deal?
I think we can mention USC as well.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we just gotta again. You've got to see. I got to see you be physical.
They got Michigan State this weekend. Should be a good one.
What's the extent of the Austin Simmons injury?
He looked when he came on the field, he couldn't barely walk.
It doesn't look great.
Like it's. I think it's going to be Chambliss.
Couple weeks,
probably for a couple weeks at least. And if he's balling, I don't know if Lane will take him out. But I'll tell you what.
On the USC point, before you move off, here's the next 4 in a row: Michigan State, Illinois on the road, Michigan home at Notre Dame.
All right, so we're gonna know.
Find out.
Yeah. We're gonna know. We're gonna know. Talking about somebody that doesn't know, the AP poll. All right, their top 25. They came out. Unfortunately, we got to see this every week. Somebody just explained to me how Notre Dame has not won a game all year. We're heading into week 4. They're still in the top 25. I don't care if they played Heaven's Army and the Chinese Army the next week. There's no way that you can be 0-2 and should be ranked in the top 25. There is absolutely no way in hell that should be the case.
One, how's Alabama 14?
I don't know.
2, where's USF?
Again,
USF lost to a Miami team on the road.
Mm-hmm.
You've beaten 2 ranked opponents, and they drop you out of the top 25. Notre Dame hadn't won a game.
Yeah, and the USF thing, that comes into the brand play that Timmy Brando is always coming on here talking about. Conceptually, let's talk for a second about a team that hasn't won a game yet, but theoretically, I mean, you could have a situation where you're the 13th best team in the country, but you played all of the top 12, and you're 0-12, but you would beat everyone ranked behind you. I understand that, but this gets back to the point about fluctuation. If you don't punish teams for losing games and reward them for winning games, then all you're really doing is leaning on your preseason bias.
Yeah.
And again, we just can't continue to take this poll seriously after what we've seen the last couple of weeks with some of their voters saying that their vote doesn't even matter.
Well, and to your point, David, like here again, I just hate contradiction. And when you have no clear mission statement or idea and everybody with all these voters swimming in the same direction to have one ideology that goes into the poll, this is where I get pissed off. Here's the contradiction. Okay, you say Notre Dame's the top 25 team in the country, right? And they're 0-2. If you want to roll with that, okay. But you can't, on that hand, have A&M behind Illinois, who just went on the road and beat Notre Dame, who you have so much respect for because apparently their first 2 opponents were so damn good, including the number 4 team in the country, when Illinois played Duke compared to A&M. That's the problem I got. That's the contradiction. So by that standpoint, I can understand if you have Ohio State 1 and Texas loses by a touchdown, and even though they haven't looked great talking about Texas, you got them at number 8. Okay? Totally 100% understand it. How the hell is Illinois in front of A&M? Explain that one to me. You can explain that one to me, then it contradicts Notre Dame at 24. That's my problem.
Just makes no sense. Ole Miss at 13 to me makes 0 sense.
Where
I'd rate that. Ole Miss struggled with Arkansas and Kentucky. Like they haven't looked like the number 13 team.
I think Ole Miss should be top 25. I don't think.
Sure. No, I'm fine with that. It's just it's nothing about this makes sense, and how these people get to vote blows my mind. We need to destroy it and rebuild it.
Yes, we need to.
Well, that's what we just did for the last 50 years.
When is our Berlin Wall moment?
And Baylor, where's Baylor?
Yeah, look, Baylor. Just let him sneak along. Let him sneak along.
Wait. Who does Baylor got this week?
Arizona State. Arizona
over.
State.
How fast can I bet that over? What is it? If it starts with a 5,
you lose to an Auburn team.
If it starts with a 5, I'll put the rent on it.
SMU. Notre Dame haven't won a game, dog.
Arizona State at home.
Haven't won a game.
Do you want to address? We're coming in on week 4. We've already had 2 firings. Virginia.
You talking about Virginia Tech? Not surprising.
Yeah.
Not surprising. I mean, Brent Pry. I mean, coming into this year, and I didn't think you looked awful against South Carolina. Drone still can't throw it. We tried to tell you that. You thought maybe he'd be good enough where you're like, hey. This guy's service a little bit like Probula has shown us that, he's obviously improved as a passer and can really actually do it now that he's gotten his shot. So I'm not shocked about that. Virginia Tech's a really good job. I think they're going to be able to go get somebody big time. I don't think Beamer's leaving South Carolina. I don't think he wants to follow his dad. I think he wants to make his own path. As far as UCLA, what a disaster. And it started with the press conference. Like you say, some people say press conferences don't matter. Well, You go back to Deshaun Foster's first one at UCLA or Big Ten Media Days, whatever it was. It wasn't a great start.
Oh,
it's
I'm talking about bad decisions.
Yeah, Nico. Oh, they should just hire Nico's dad at this point.
Yeah,
why not?
Should. God, and I tweeted this. So Nico, you could have been hosting game day. This weekend against Georgia, but instead you lost to New Mexico by 25 in front of 3 fans and your dad.
Yeah,
and your head coach just got fired.
It needs to be studied.
Golly.
Just terrible.
Imagine from the Tennessee perspective, you got to stand on business and not cave to him and get better at the position.
Yeah. Wow. No, Josh Heupel, he bought Microsoft stock early.
Good for him.
Yeah,
share some with me.
Let us know, what do you think of our top 15? What do you think about the AP poll? I can probably guess. Got some great content coming the rest of the week with some fantastic guests as well. And like the chances, Hami?
You're due for a drop.
Nah, not being upset there's no college football tonight, but getting us through the wilderness together.
Don't be afraid to throw
it. Going.
Oh, move him up.
That is a catch.
Move him up and
gone.
Review it.
Gone. No, it's a catch. That was to the body. Slow mode. I don't care.